Hey there, everyone, and welcome to College and Beyond Real Talk with Amore. And if you have not already guessed, I am your host, Amore Carthy. And on today's episode 13, we are going to be going over Big Dreams, Small Town. Braylen Burgess talks football, academics, and transfer portals. So we cannot wait to get into this conversation. Today's episode is sponsored by Education Innovations. I am the founder and CEO, and our mission is to guide your journey from college admissions to life beyond. We do that through one-on-one coaching to help you get through all the different things like picking your classes for college, high school, college, um, your summer programs, completing the college application, and similar things like that. So, without further ado, let's bring on our special guest, Braylen. Hey, how are you?
Doing well, doing well.
So, what school are you representing? I'll say today.
I'm representing Bucknell University today as a freshman.
Okay, so without further ado, let's go on and just jump into your roots and your rise. So, why don't you take us back to your high school years in Atlanta? And what was your mindset like in your senior year?
I went to Greater Atlanta Christian School located in Norcross, Georgia. I attended there for 10 years. My high school um, years, I would say that I was very, trying to take everything in the moment. Leading up, I played football all 4 years of my high school career. And heading into my senior year, my mindset was just to have the best year that I could possibly have, both on the field and off the field. As I was getting ready to transition to college, I just came off a very successful junior year, so I was starting to pick up offers from different colleges, and I needed to just basically maintain everything that I was doing at the time, and graduate in May. So that was kind of my mindset going into my senior year.
Okay, so you said you were doing really well. So, what does that mean academically? Can you like kind of tell us more about your grade point average? Did you do any extracurriculars besides football? Just so people know.
Right. Academically, I was a pretty solid student. I had a 3.7 throughout high school. I was in clubs like Beta Club, National Honor Society, all that, you name it. And then extracurricular activities. I did play baseball and lacrosse for 2 years, as well as in the spring, added on
Mhm.
the football. And then we did a whole bunch of service hours that we had to complete. So different projects each year. They're all different, but stuff that we had to complete outside of school to serve our community. So.
Okay. So I know I'm, of course, going, a little bit different from some of the questions that are here. So, you said your school's name was what? It was a public or
Greater It was a private school in Atlanta, Greater Atlanta Christian School.
private? So, how many people were in your senior class?
My senior class, I would say roughly around 135 people. So
Okay, so you couldn't hide, so you knew everyone and they knew you.
yeah, everyone knew everybody's business. So that was the school I went to.
Okay, so what did it mean to you and your family to earn a full ride to Bucknell?
Yeah, so it was a pretty big deal in terms of just being able to get my school paid for. Um, for me, kind of was like a gift back to my parents who've paid, for my school my whole life pretty much. So it was a pretty big deal in terms of that. And to play um, athletically in college is something that not a lot of people in my family has done. So just to be one of the few was very important. The first in my close family because I'm the oldest kid, but it was very important. They were very proud of me, obviously, to be able to do that. I put a lot of work in, so it's kind of rewarding to end it off like that.
Okay. Um, so what made Bucknell stand out when you were choosing schools? Did football or academics drive the decision more?
So I would say it was kind of like a 50-50 balance, honestly. Just in terms of on the football side of it, I felt like it was a place that I could play. I felt like the the offense and the coaches that were recruiting me were they aligned with what I believe in and how my 4 years should look like. And then on the academic side of it, it's a very prestigious school in the Northeast, so they kind of just play hand in hand of what I was looking for. I wanted to go to both a place I can play Division One, also getting a good education while I was here. So,
Okay.
uh,
Um, was there a moment, where it really hit you like, "I'm doing this, I'm going to a D1 school, I'm about to play, my dreams are coming
right.
true?"
I would say honestly, the first moment, I would say it's two moments. The first moment was when I signed my national letter of intent. So basically, the paper that you sign, basically saying you're going to this school and you're done. So that was in December of my senior year. And then the other moment I would say is my first college workout, which took place in July when I was like, okay, this is real. Like this is not high school anymore. This is the real deal. And it was a pretty intense workout, but I was like, this is what we work for. So we're here now.
Mm, okay. So we're gonna go move or transition into life at Bucknell. And we're gonna dig into the transition and the culture shift. What was your impression of Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, compared
Yeah.
to where you grew up?
Yeah. So growing up in Atlanta, there's so much to do. You can never get bored. Um, and then the shock, and especially the culture shock of going to Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. The first time I've ever went, I was like, no way I could do this. I was like, no way, and then ended up committing here. But it's a big shock for people who like my private school that I went to was very diverse, and there's people of all different races and nationalities. So coming here, being a predominantly white institution, like it's only 4% of black people that go here. So it's a big shock of when I was in high school, I had, you know, every race in my class to going here. And it's like, okay, I might have two black people in my class the whole semester, like
Mm.
all four classes that I've had. So it's a big culture shock in terms of that. And,
How
it's
about
not,
like the
not a lot.
city?
Yeah,
Is
the
it
city's
rural?
very small. It's very rural. It's actually Amish people that live here, which is crazy. You never think that that's like you'll see something like that, but it is people that ride horses here. Um, so it's a very rural town that you probably
Mhm.
would never expect to go to coming from Atlanta, where the big city, vibrant, a lot of stuff going on. So now everything is relaxed, not too much going on here. So.
Are most people from, Pennsylvania? Or, like, what's where were your fellow students from?
Right. So a lot of kids come from the Philly area. So it's a good amount of people that come from Pennsylvania. So Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and a lot of kids come from New York and Connecticut and New Jersey. So mainly northeast states. But so most kids go from there. Not too many people from the South.
Mhm.
Um, so a lot of kids kind of knew each other coming in. They all around the same people, same cliques. And then for me coming from the South, it's a little bit different.
So were you able to, make friends that were from the Northeast or anything, or jump in anybody's car to see what Philly was like? I lived in Philly. I went to Temple for a minute.
Right.
Were you able to visit any or go on any road trips, or were you so busy that, you just had to play football?
Yeah. So the first semester, it was none of that really much because of football took over. But I was fortunate enough to the second semester, as soon as I got back to begin the year, we actually took a road trip, me and a couple other football players, to actually Buffalo, New York, and we went to the Bills Ravens game, playoff
Wow.
game.
Mhm.
It was freezing outside, but it was a very good experience. I'm glad I did it. And just recently, I actually went to Philadelphia with a couple students, and we went to a couple spots in Philadelphia. They showed me where they like to eat. So some cheesesteaks, They have really good pizza in Philly, actually. So
Did
I
you have
was
some
able
water
to.
ice? Did you get some water ice? Did they give
No,
you
I
any?
didn't.
What?
No, they didn't. But no, so I was able to visit a couple spots. I went to New York as well, so I've been a couple of places up in the Northeast to visit.
Okay, because I always try to, say that that's a part of your college experience. Don't just stay on
Right,
campus solely. If you meet people from different areas, why not see what they're about so you can understand
right.
how it has shaped them. So tell us what a typical day looked like for you as a freshman student athlete, practices, classes, study time. And I know you mentioned that during like the first semester is different than the second semester. So what was well, you know what? You can just walk us through. I remember you saying that like you came into school early and you hadn't been when I called you or something in November, you were
Right,
like, I haven't even been home yet. So,
right. So yeah, so I came in July. I probably say like a couple days into July, a couple days after 4th of July, and we had a small mini camp. So basically, it's preparing you for what college football practices will look like, what you're kind of getting into. So it's kind of like a test trial, especially for the freshmen. So I came into that. That was early July. Then after that, you have a couple days to move everything into your dorm. Um, so that took a couple days. And then after that, you're into the full swing of things. So we have fall camp, which you're basically doing football from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day for a month. So the whole month of August until school started, that we were doing that from 7 a.m. So basically it consists of meetings, lifting, practice, meetings again, meals, and a whole bunch of more meetings. So it's a lot of meetings going on in terms of like learning the playbook, learning what we're going to be doing for the season. So that's the whole month of August. And then
mhm,
once school starts, so I took 2 classes a day in the fall semester. So you take two, probably an early class, and then a class right before practice. So in the mornings, we'll lift before school, so 6 a.m. lift. Then you
mhm,
have time to go to your, some people have 8 a.m.s, 9 p.m. or 9 a.m.s classes. So you have those classes,
mhm,
get a meal, and then midday we'll have a special teams meeting. So
mhm,
basically, we'll go over like what our game plan is for special teams. After that, you go to whatever class you have left for the day. Then you have a position meeting, so your position, and then you'll have a meeting for that for an hour. Then you go out and practice. So around that time, like 6:30, you get out of practice. You may have a night class. Some people had night classes. You might have an exam after practice. So you will either have that or you'll be done for the day, and then basically do the same thing the next day. Until we got to Friday. Friday was a little bit different. We'll do a lift or a practice in the morning, depending on if we're playing away or home. And then
mhm,
after that, you're either traveling, or we'll have meetings for if we have a home game. And then
mhm,
Saturday's game day. And then Sunday, we're back basically, meeting practice as well. And then for all freshmen, we had study hall Sunday nights and Monday nights.
mm,
So they find times to make sure that you're staying up to date academically.
mhm.
But the week is pretty grueling. You got a lot going on, so not a lot too much time to do anything other than focus on football and school.
Mm. Yeah, that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
so you're majoring in economics and carrying a 3.7 GPA, which is amazing.
Right.
Congratulations to you on that. That
Thank you.
is good. How have you managed the academic pressure alongside football? I know that you said you have study hall, but do you need more than study hall to do, your homework and prepare for the classes? Like, how do you do? I'm overwhelmed just hearing all the things that you're doing.
Right. Yeah, so I would say the biggest thing is before, and it's good that, coming into the football team, you have older classmen that have kinda done what you've done.
Mhm,
So they tell you like, okay, you need to take these type of classes in the fall, a lighter load, and then you
mhm,
take your heavier load in the spring. So that kind of helped out. They tell you what professors to take. And just being in college for a year, I think the professors are really important in terms of it's not always the class that you're taking, but the professor that you have that
mhm,
can, make or break the class. So that was important. But into school and like the weeks, Bucknell requires or they want you to spend 3 hours extra out of the time that you spend in class. So if you have an hour in class and you spend 3 hours, after class learning the material. So, some people do that, some people don't do that. Depends on what class you're taking and how you're doing in the class.
Mhm,
Some weeks you might spend way more time than that. So for me, economics, one-on-one class, I did spend a lot of time. You have to read a lot, way a lot more than you did in high schools. Depending on what kind of high school student you were. If you coasted through high school because you're just so smart, then coming into college may be a little bit harder for you because you actually have to put the work in and the time
mm,
in.
mhm,
So I did spend more time outside of study hall.
mhm,
Anytime I could get that, I did try to get ahead of stuff. You got to try to get ahead of as well because once you get into football season, it's kind of hard, especially if you're winning. You're trying to win a championship and compete at the end of
mhm,
the semester. Then you definitely have to try to get ahead, especially away games as well when you're going to be
mhm,
away from campus.
mhm.
So, definitely, I did spend a lot of time, in the fall semester, just trying to get ahead, make sure I'm staying on top of my studies. So I think that played a part to getting that 3.7.
So, when you like, how big were your classes? And then also, I said I'm being overwhelmed hearing all that you're doing, but I mean, now that I think about it, I was an athlete in college, but I was in high school. Sometimes being more busy is easier because then I
Right.
know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing at what time. So, did you use time management calendars? Like, how did you make sure everything was done that needed to be done?
Exactly. I feel the same way too as, even in high school when the
Mhm,
football season is going on, everything is so structured.
mhm,
So like I need to be doing this at this time, this time. I feel like for me that's kind of like you said easier than being
mhm,
in the spring semester when you don't have practice every day, so you kind of have more time than you can think of. So like it's like get a nap here, go do this, go
mhm,
spend time doing this. So you kind of like lose that structure.
mhm.
So yeah, so the structure is important. And then to your question on the class sizes, our classes are kind of like high school. Oh, well, for me, in since I went to a small school, but
Mhm.
pretty much the same. Like no more than 20 people in the class, I would
Oh, that's
say.
good.
So it's very so you kind of have a relationship with your professor. It's not you're not
Mhm,
sitting in like a big auditorium and
mhm,
you don't know your professor at all. So pretty much all my professors I've been able to talk to. They offer great help. They offer office hours that you're easily can get into the if you need help on a certain topic or whatever. So
mhm.
it's been great.
I like that. Um, so, you had a reality check and reflection,
Mhm.
and you got real about what wasn't working and what shifted. What were some harder or surprising parts of college life that people don't talk enough about?
Right. I would say the a part that people don't really think about is when you come to college and there's people with a whole bunch of different ideas and different ways of life, different religions, whatever you may. Cause I went to a school where we all knew each other, we all knew what we were about. And coming into college, you're gonna have different people from different places, especially in the Northeast,
Mhm,
that bring their own thoughts and ideas, and you gotta kind of like you gotta learn about different people and like what they're coming from. So I think a lot of people don't understand that. But I think it's a good thing that you can do. So you're broadening yourself out into the world. You're not just staying stuck on what you've been knowing for your whole life. So I think it's pretty uh a thing that people don't understand when you come into college.
okay. Um, well, with you saying that, what did you learn about yourself that you didn't know in your freshman year? Or did you learn
Right.
anything?
So I think the biggest thing for me was that um like the ideas that I had on out like, being in Georgia in the South, you kinda grow up a certain way, you have mannerisms, and there's people
Yes,
that,
ma'am. You mean like that? Like, "Yes, ma'am."
yes, man, you have that Southern hospitality. Then when you
Mhm,
come to different places up north for me, not everyone has that. So you have to
mhm,
learn to accept, okay, not everyone's gonna be, gonna do what you do for them.
mhm,
Um, and if you hold the door for somebody or you do a nice gesture for somebody, that doesn't mean they're gonna do it back for you. So, it's like a harsh reality kind of, but like it's good, because like, like once you get out in the world, this is stuff that you kind of gotta be able to handle, be able to,
Mhm.
experience. So I think that was the biggest part.
So, you know how in the South people say, "Hey, how you doing?" Everybody, you
Right.
acknowledge it. So, when I went up north, I got kinda confused. I'm like, "Did I just say hi and they didn't say hi back?" Or
Right.
like, eye contact and non-acknowledgement. So, that, like, threw me off, and
Mhm.
I used to get hurt, and then I realized, "Nah, it's actually that's just their way of doing stuff. Maybe it
Right.
does." And it's not have nothing to do with me. Um,
Right.
so did it hit you like that? Were you saying hi and people were looking at you crazy or something?
Yeah, the first couple weeks of people being on campus, just saying like hi, trying to introduce yourself to people that you don't know,
Mhm,
and it's just like, wow, this is not where I came from. Like, people like want to have conversation with you back
mhm,
at home, and like
mhm.
people are just so fast. Maybe because they live in cities like New York,
Yeah,
everybody's just going, fast
that's
paced. So they
mhm.
really, here it's kind of like a settled down, like relax. So it was a culture shock, but I'm kind of adjusted to it now.
Yeah. Well, I hope that you don't lose "Hey, how you doing? Yes,
Right,
ma'am," all that
right.
stuff. That's good
No, I
look.
can't lose that.
Um, let's see. You know what? Was there a moment when you started thinking, "Maybe I need to pivot or transfer?" When was that
Yeah,
moment?
I can't. Right. So I don't know the exact. I would probably say midway through my season.
Mhm,
I would say, I just had like a realization that like, what do I want my 4 years to be like? Like, how do I want to remember my 4 years after I'm done with college?
mhm,
And a lot of people that I know, like friends of mine, they have outside sources that are kind of controlling how their life should look like. They're
mm,
living in a simulation. Like people control what they're doing. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do that.
mhm,
And luckily, my parents didn't do that to me, and they allowed me to, uh, test out what I wanted to do, like what I wanted to do.
mhm,
Um, so for me, just being in the middle of that season, I was like, what do I want my 4 years to be like? You're supposed to be the best 4 years of your life.
mhm,
Um, so at the end of this, like, what I want to say, like, I had fun, or I just did it because, yeah, I'm getting paid to come here, but am I having fun? Am I getting the experience that I want to get
mhm,
out of this, and
mhm,
be able to live with that? Because at the end of the day, people can tell you all they want. At the end of the day, you have to live, that with your decisions in your life. So
mhm,
that's the biggest thing that I thought to myself, and um, so that kind of influenced my decision to maybe look out and decide to transfer.
mhm. Well, that's kudos to your parents because a lot of parents, they want what's best, but for them to give
Mhm.
you the freedom to, choose what you want, try different things, I think that probably also, probably supports you probably have an amazing relationship because they listen, but you listen to them, but
Right.
at the same time, they let you make your own decisions. So I'm happy that you have a supportive, family. I was thinking, but I didn't say, when I was coaching you, I know how you are as a person, so I just was like, "Oh, I don't know." You know, but, um, for people who don't understand, the transfer portal, what's the process like, logistically and emotionally?
Right. So, like we talked about earlier, the transfer portal is different for so many different people in like the new landscape of college football. Um, so for people like in Power Four conference, so Georgia, Texas, Alabama, them entering the transfer portal, they kind of already have like a safety, like they're going to find a place more than likely because of they're probably ranked in high school, so they have status to them, and the people that recruited them in high school, coaches move down all around, so you can find a coach that you had a connection with when you were getting recruited in high school, and then you can go to his school, and also like with the NIL money, people may not care where they go as long as they're getting the check. So
Mhm,
in terms of that's how it is for other people. It's just um, do they want to play? Some people might not be playing,
mhm,
so they might go down a division.
Mhm.
so they can play. So it all depends on what you're looking for, what you're trying to find. If you're trying to go to
Mhm.
the NFL, if you're trying to just play, trying
Mhm.
to get money.
Mhm.
But it can be an emotional process, especially coming from getting the recruiting process in high school. That was a very emotional process, not knowing where you're going.
Mhm.
And stuff. And you can also get stuck in the portal and you don't play football again. So
Mhm.
all those are, it's kind of a gamble
Mhm.
entering the portal. So, definitely if you're thinking about entering the portal, just make sure you have a plan.
Mhm.
Both if you find a team, if you don't find a team, make sure you have a plan for that as well.
Mhm. Because you had a full ride at Bucknell, but you entered the portal. So that means that you gave up the possibility you don't know what you're jumping into, right? Let me ask
Right,
you a question.
exactly.
So when you're in the portal, if someone chooses you, do they have to, give you a scholarship or I mean, what happens?
No. So it depends. So
Mhm,
it depends. Some kids do get a full scholarship,
mhm,
coming out of the portal, depending on where you're going, depending on the school, financial situation.
mhm,
So SCS, FBS is, like I said, Georgia, Alabama, Texas.
mhm,
SCS is like where I go, Bucknell,
mhm,
Delaware, you might know.
mhm,
The Ivy Leagues are also SCS as well.
mhm,
So, transferring to SES, the money's not the same as the FBS, so you're not getting all the funding. So some kids on our team right now are either walk-ons, you're on partial scholarship, or you're full scholarship.
mm,
So like, it's a different so depending on where you're transferring to, if you're
mhm.
going up a division, you might get some money. If you're going down, you might not get money depending on where you're going. So it's all different. Or you can walk on, if that suits you as well.
So, since you have a great grade point average, could that also play a part? Meaning, like, hey, we don't have maybe a full athletic, but because you have great grades, we can give you some merit money. Does it work like that or no?
Yeah, yeah, you can get some of that as well.
Mhm,
Depends on, like, what your grades are, and, you definitely have to go into, talking to the school as well. So they'll probably
mhm.
add the school onto that conversation as well.
Okay. So what's next? Let's look ahead and leave listeners with something meaningful. Well, I
Mhm.
mean, everything that you said, you're dropping gems in here so that people who are young parents and students can know exactly what your experience is and they can learn from that. Are there any schools or programs you're eyeing now? Can you say or no?
So I
And
don't
if
wanna
not,
talk too deep into that because,
mhm,
it's still going on, but,
mhm.
probably some schools back closer to home. That's all I'll say on that.
Okay. And then what are you looking for in your next chapter?
Yeah, so kinda like what I mentioned earlier, I just wanna be, proud of my decision, and at the end of my 3 to 4 years, whatever I have left, just
Mhm,
say that I got the most out of that experience. I had, a whole lot of fun. I met a lot of great people,
mhm,
and it was truly, a good time of my life that I can look back on, for the rest of
mhm,
my life,
mhm,
and just be proud of I can't talk, the decision that I made.
mhm. So it seems like you're because you had at Bucknell the academics and the football, it seems like you're really looking for the social aspect is the main
Yeah,
thing that was missing. Is that correct?
both the social and, education as well. Still trying to
Mhm,
be high academically, but definitely more social,
mhm.
life than I have here at Bucknell. Yeah.
Okay. Da, 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 da. If you could go back and give your high school self some advice, what would you say?
I'll probably say it to myself as well right now, is that just, really embrace the small moments in your life that, sometimes you overlook.
Mhm,
Sometimes you always try to, look down the line, what I wanna be in 5 months, a year from now, 2 years from now,
mhm,
and the grand scheme of things, but the small moments, especially in high school, with your parents and your family, because that time, you're never gonna get back when you move away and kinda grow up. So those are very important. I would definitely tell my high school or any high schooler out there, just, embrace the small moments. We don't have a lot of time to,
mhm.
do what life is short. So just embrace those small moments.
Okay. Um Oh, what's something that you want people to know about student athletes that rarely gets talked about?
Yeah, that's a good question. Good question. I would say that sometimes people only see you as being a student athlete, so they don't ask too much outside of how's football going, how's baseball going, how's
Mhm,
track going. But student athletes are people too. People have dreams, talents, ambitions that they want to achieve, and it's not always about football or or sports in general.
mhm,
And and being a college athlete, student athlete, you do sacrifice a lot of stuff that maybe a regular student would get. So like internships, holiday vacations, be able to go back home. You miss
mhm,
out on a lot of that. So I don't think people understand that too much, and it kind of can be a mental exhaustion over a while, just being
mhm,
into the day to day of the grueling schedule of the week,
mhm.
the weeks that you have. So those are kind of some things I would say that
I
people
love
overlook.
that. Yeah. Now that you say that, I do feel like people do that to athletes. It's like house basketball. They don't ask about you as a person, or they don't act like you can be a complex person. You meaning
Right,
you do stuff and you like stuff outside of sports. Yeah.
right.
Um, Finish this sentence. Big dreams in small towns taught me.
Big dreams in small towns taught me that ambition has no limits, and it can take you, a lot of places if you're willing to work for it. And anybody can do extraordinary things if you put your mind to it. And
Mhm,
don't just be, stuck on, one thing. There's so many things in the world that you can be able to do. So just go out and learn and just experience everything that you possibly can, and
mhm.
good things are going to happen.
Okay. Since you are in the transfer portal and things are like just going on as we speak, where can people follow you and your journey? Where can they find you?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at Braylen Burgess, and Twitter as well at Braylen Burgess. I'll be posting my decisions on both platforms.
Okay. Since you are a special guest, I'll let you close it out. Is there anything else that you want to say to our listeners to close us out?
I would just say, just make sure you're enjoying the nice weather outside. If it's nice where you are, just take it all in, and just have a great rest of the spring semester if you're in school or high school, and just be grateful, to be where you are.
Okay. So without further ado, we're going to say bye and thank you and hope everyone listens to our next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.